Hey everybody, welcome back to Muscle Car Campy. Jim Camposano here, and today we have one of the kings of the muscle car era, the 1969 Trans Am Firebird. The Pontiac Trans Am arrived on the scene in the spring of '69, and it was the wildest Firebird yet. Ram Air 3400 was standard equipment. It had functional air extractors on the sides, stripes running from the hood to the deck lid, and that really cool airfoil out back, which even though every car today has one, it seems, that was really wild back in the day. When the Trans Am arrived on the scene, it was truly a car without a home. The engine was too big for the race series in which it was named after, so it couldn't be homologated for racing. But with all the suspension improvements, the horsepower, it was truly a spectacular car, whether or not you wanted to go on a road course or not.
My name is Dick Kellesy, and this is my 1969 Pontiac Trans Am. I actually have owned this car since 2013. I was in the market for another muscle car, and a friend of mine had this car and offered it to me, and it was just an opportunity I couldn't pass up. Such a rare vehicle, you never see these around. This is a all numbers matching survivor car. It had one minor repaint along the way, but other than that, it's an all numbers matching car. So this car was actually produced in September of '69, so the '70 model year was already out. And Pontiac only produced 697 of these. This car has the Ram Air 3 motor in it, 4-speed. Interestingly, no tack, no gauges, which is interesting from a performance car perspective. But I'm assuming it was somebody was looking for a lightweight performance car. The car actually stickered for a little over $4,500 in September of '69, so that was quite a bit of money.
Suspension improvements on the Trans Am included heavy-duty springs and shocks, a 1-inch front sway bar, a quicker ratio steering box, and firm feel front disc brakes. F70 14 fiberglass belted tires were also standard. This was the first in what would become a long line of Firebirds that could hang with the best cars on the road when the straightaways became corners. Now Dick, the one thing I'm noticing when you were idling, this car definitely has a cam in it. It's not a stock Ram Air 3 cam, but as far as you know, that's the only real change that's been made, that and the timing chain to this car, right? Everything else is original.
Correct.
It's never been rebuilt?
Headed over to a garage to get the carburetor tuned up, and the mechanic, who's actually in his mid-70s, been working on muscle cars, third generation garage, but he confirmed that the motor had never been apart, and that it was just a cam that had been slipped in. Other than the timing chain, the carburetor's date coded to the car, the alternator's date coded to the car. Master cylinder was original unrestored, date coded to the car, and we actually just had to send it off to a place in Virginia to get it restored. But yeah, other than that, the car is very correct.
So this car must be quite the runner with the cam and the Ram Air. It sounds great. I mean, it just sounds healthy.
Yeah, and it's an example of a unrestored car that's never been apart, right? So it's very solid. I have two other restored cars that are just not as tight. This car handles great, very tight. Kind of a tribute to a car that's never been taken apart.
Yeah, and never hit.
Yeah, and I did put shocks on it. We ended up having to put ball joints on the car because the original ball joints were on it, and I was going to a cruise in over a railroad track and broke a ball joint, so it squirted grease out onto my disc. And the car was starting to smoke, but I knew my hoses were all good, and technically came standard with the 3-speed on the floor, and the 4-speed was actually an option on it.
And it's nice nice too. This isn't one of the cars that had the weird color interiors. I know almost all of them had blue, white with blue, but there were a few that slipped out. I think one of them had red, some crazy.
One had some, weird shade of green as well. Right.
What were they thinking there?
Yeah.
White with blue stripes and green interior.
Right.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Now you were telling me a story before of how the original production photos had the stripes going over the airfoil on the deck lid.
Right.
But in production that never did happen, right? That was they just was too much trouble.
Right. These were hand painted, so they're actually painted on stripes. And so the designers wanted that stripe to run over the spoiler, but I think once they started into production, they were never going to match or line up the stripes properly, and killed that. So if you see a car restored with a spoiler with a stripe on top of it, that's technically not correct.
What's your favorite part of this car?
I mean, aside from the fact that it's just, it's just a great looking and great handling and great performing car, it's just the reactions you get. Because, I mean, it's amazing the Pontiac people that will come up to you and say, oh, I've never seen one, or I've only ever seen, one or two other, 69 Trans Am. So it's just such a unique car. And it's great to hear the stories on people that just have not seen them or rarely ever seen them. And this car, being unrestored, I mean, it really is rare to see an unrestored car, because a lot of them are restored.
And what's nice too is I love the hood. That's not a hood you saw in any other Firebird. It doesn't look like anything that Chevy offered with the Camaro. It's almost like the progenitor to the Firebird formula hood that would come out on the second generation cars too, with the scoops right at the leading edge of the hood. Just a great car. I love everything about it. I mean, it's the interior without the console is really cool too.
Just all about performance and handling, and it's kind of interesting because they put the air cleaner in the hood. So the air cleaner actually is in the hood. It goes up with the hood. I've actually got a new old stock air cleaner still in the original Delco box, unused from back in the early 70s.
Wow. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come out today, and this is, like I said, this is a real throwback to another time and another place. And from the humble beginnings, 697 Trans Am sold. I think they peaked at 115,000 sold in the late 70s, which is really unbelievable. Like I said, they were outselling the base Firebird by a lot.
Yeah, the styling on the Trans Am was just so nice, and so much further ahead than in my mind the Camaro styling.
And they were also really nice inside by that point. They had really nice materials. You had the engine turned dash.
Right.
If they only had the Ram Air 3 under the hood, then they would have really been something else.
Right.
But Dick, thank you very much.
I appreciate it. Thanks for taking a look at my car.
This car stays as an example of just how great the Pontiac Motor Division was at one time. Spectacular looking car. They took what was a base car they shared with Chevrolet and turned it into just a fabulous machine. And frankly, the world is a lesser place without Firebirds today. Anyway, I'm Jim Camposano, Muscle Car Campy. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, ring that bell so you get notified every time a new video is up, and we'll see you next time.